Hey guys, Dave from Wolfheart Hobbying here, and today I'm going to show you how I paint mutated miniatures. To serve as my example, I've got two minis here from the board game Zombicide. I have on the left a regular abomination, and on the right I've got a toxic abomination. So the toxic abomination, I'm going to show you how I do kind of a plagued pustule type of flesh. And with the regular abomination, it's going to be more of how I would interpret how the body or the skin would react if the muscles and organs kind of swelled up really quickly, which kind of shows through on the models, both of them, on how that would look. So to get us started, we're going to start with the toxic abomination. And both miniatures were given a light gray primer, and we're both given a good base coat of Reaper's Fair Skin. This is a nice light pink flesh tone. If you wanted to go a little bit paler, I would come in with Citadel's Rakarth Flesh. Both would give you the same effect for both examples of flesh that I'm going to do. But I wanted a little bit more life into the model. So again, this was given about 1 or 2 base coats of the Reaper's Fair Skin. And as you can see, I missed a couple parts, which is usually not a good thing to do. But for what we're going to do next, it's not going to be a huge problem for us. So our first step on giving this guy a good kind of plague toxic look, we're going to come in with Citadel's Bale Tan Green shade wash. You can use pretty much any kind of green wash. You could even use the Way Watchers green glaze if you wanted to, but the green glaze would not give you the same effect. It would give you a bright green. So if you were going for a full like radiation toxic look, I would use the Way Watcher, but you'd have to do a couple coats to get the crevices and everything like that just dark enough so that they stand out. But with the Bale Tan Green, as you can see, it's already starting to shade the model nicely, and it is a heavy wash, as I do want this green to really tint the skin. Usually I don't like using washes to get the color for major parts of the model that I want, but in this case there's no real world example of what a plagued bearing flesh would look like, so this is all interpretation. So if there's random spots and the color's not even, it's not going to be a big deal because it could give more of a natural look to the model. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to give all the flesh parts a heavy wash of this, and while it's drying we're going to jump over and start working on the regular abomination. So again, this guy was given a good base coating of the fair skin, and I don't believe there's too many spots without actual like a thick base coat on it. But to get started for this guy, I'm going to come in with Carberg Crimson. I really like this look for kind of a bruised, fleshy type of look. If you wanted to give him more of like a swampy, ugly, dirty look, you could also come in with Athenonian camo shade. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. It gives it a nice kind of muddied, green, gross look. You could use that for the toxic abomination too if you wanted to, but again, I want this to kind of look like his flesh has swelled, and that it's starting to bruise and it's being really tense. So again, this is going to be another heavy wash over the entirety of the model, but not too heavy that it's going to pool up or drip down the model or anything like that. So we just want to really focus this in on the crevices of the model and get those muscle tones to really show out, but I want them to have this good crimson look to make them look like they're bruised. So here I'm just making sure that it's not pooling up too much in some areas, because you can lose some detail if you have too much of a shade wash in the area. So I'm just going back over some areas with my brush where I feel there's too much wash pooling up, and the brush is soaking that up. So I'm just working it around to get the overall effect that I want. So we're going to set this guy aside after he's fully washed and let him dry for about 15 to 20 minutes so we get a good dry time on there. And while we're waiting, we're going to jump back over here and we're going to start working on the toxic abomination. So as you can see, the green came out pretty much exactly how I wanted it to. I did put a little too much, so as you can see by his foot there, it did pool up. You want to avoid this as that can ruin some details on the model. But overall, we got nice, good shading in those crevices and around those pustules and in between the muscle and bloatiness of the model. Again, like I said, this would be great for Nurgle. That's why I really like this miniature, is we can make him really disgusting looking, and we'll get started by doing that with the pustules on his arm and his back and just all over the model. So to get us started, we're going to do a base coat of Warpstone Glow. You could go with a darker green, but this is just going to give us kind of a base color to work off of, and an even color instead of just relying on the wash to give us our color. So you don't have to worry about painting the entirety of these pustules. Just give it a nice good base coat, get as close to the body as you can without ruining what we've done with the shade wash. So this is a very tedious task, especially with this guy, or if you're even doing a bigger model, as you have to get every little dot. So just jumping ahead here, as you can see, the Warpstone Glow gives it a different color of green, but it's not too far off of the actual body's color of green. So our next step is we're going to come in with Moot Green. This is a very bright green. You could work your way up in mixtures and shades if you want to, but I just want to show you like a good tabletop standard of doing this and a very quick and easy way of doing this. So like we did with the Warpstone Glow, we're just going to go over just the tops and not worry about getting too far down, kind of just getting a good surface area of this green on, just to make these pustules stand out. So for a lot of these, you're going to be kind of doing just little dots, especially on the smaller ones, and with the larger ones, you pick how far you want to go down. It's all personal preference, and it's all up to you about how far you want to take that effect. So again, this is another very tedious task, but when you put the time into your minis, it really starts to show. So again, we're going to go over the entirety of the model with the Moot Green and hit all those little pustules. Again, you could shade it up. Just showing here that with the Warpstone Glow, with those two pustules there, I kind of just painted right over, even in between them. Whereas with the Moot Green, you really want to be selective and making sure you're hitting just the tops and you're not kind of blending two pustules together. It's just my personal preference to make them stand out more and give you that gross factor. But it's all personal preference. It's up to you how you want to do this, how far you want to take it. So this is just my way of doing it. But again, I'm going to go over the entirety of the model. I'm going to skip the tedious task of showing you me doing it all over the model. And then we'll get started on the last bit of the toxic plagued flesh. So as you can see, the Moot Green really stands out. You could leave it here if you wanted to. I want to go with kind of more of a gross factor with this guy than just those are toxic bubbles in his skin. So I'm coming in with a 2-to-1 mixture of Uriel yellow to 1 moot green. This will give you this nice kind of mushed pea kind of color, I like to call it, but it gives it kind of that toxic-y look to it. So again, this step is very simple. We're just going to be very careful and just be putting dots, really. The larger ones, you're going to kind of just go over the top of the pustule or bubble, whatever you want to call it. But as you can see, it gives us that gross green factor to it. Pretty disgusting, but that's the effect we want to go for, especially if you're painting Nurgle. You want disgusting if you're painting Nurgle. So again, like I said, we're just going to be doing simple little dots, and for the larger pustules, kind of an overbrush. So skipping ahead so you don't have to watch me paint every single one again. You see that he's very disgusting looking now. You could bring this up a little bit more. You could do a 3-to-1 for the bigger ones. For the bigger pustules, the 3 Uriel yellow to 1 moot green, and then go straight into Uriel yellow. But this is about as far as I want to take this. The more yellow you add to it, it's just going to add to that gross factor. So it's up to you how far you want to take that look. So now that our other abomination is dry, we're going to start working on him, as the crimson gives us a nice cool look, but it's not really the one I want to go for. And as I said, you could use that camo shade color, and this is the result you would get, kind of that rotting, muddied look. So if you were going for a zombie or rotting skin look, I would probably go with that one. But anyways, that was just to show you what that would look like. So we're now going to come in with Rakarth Flesh. This is going to be a simple, just dry brush. It's going to be a heavy dry brush on the entirety of the model. And it's just to give us back a little bit more skin tone and really mute down that crimson color. So making sure that you don't have too much on the brush. I like to use my thumb or my hand, but most people use a paper towel or a towel. So just with a heavy dry brush going over the entirety of the skin, making sure that we don't get rid of too much of that crimson, as that's kind of the start of the stressed look. Like there's blood rushing to it, or it's bruised, or whatever. So as you can see, it kind of grays out the skin a bit, which is kind of what I wanted. I wanted it to look like this guy's skin isn't getting enough blood, or if you want to go for a zombie look too, this is a good way of doing it as well, as it gives that muted flesh. But I want to bring it up because I'm just doing more of a mutated flesh, so I'm going to bring in some Screaming Skull. This is just going to give us kind of a really quick highlight. I switched to a smaller dry brush for this, as I'm going to be a little bit more selective. So I'm bringing this into his face. If you were going for a zombie look, I would skip this step and maybe do like a Celestian Gray or Celestra Gray. Can't remember what the color is offhand here, but I would go with kind of a bright gray. So again, I'm just being very selective, and this is a light dry brush, as I don't want to give too much color back to the skin, as it would kind of defeat my overall effect that I'm going for. So coming in next is going to be Pallid Witch Flesh. This will give us kind of a decaying flesh look. It will be as if not enough blood's getting to that part of the flesh. So again, I want his face to be highlighted, so I'm going to do that on the face, his knuckles, as he's got these fists going, so I want to kind of look like he's going white knuckled because he's just so angry, I guess. But again, you can take this as far as you want. I'm just kind of using it almost as a highlight on this model. So just hitting the tops, and again, it's going to be a very light dry brush. You don't want to put too much of this color on the model. So now to give him a bit more of a bruised type of look, we're going to come in with Druchii Violet. Now this one, we're not going to do a large amount of wash on this guy. We're just going to do, I'm picking more over the bigger muscle areas and where it looked like he'd be bruised. You could use a blue for this if you wanted to. So this point, it's kind of a color pick for you on what kind of bruise you want. I want it to look like he's smashing through walls. He's, you know, the muscles are pulling so tightly that it's starting to bruise the flesh. Sorry, it goes kind of off camera here, but I'm essentially almost in a way dry brushing this. I'm kind of using the same technique where I'm just letting just the tips of the bristles hit this the muscles. I don't want it going too far in the recesses, but as you can see here, the purple kind of is a little overpowering, and if that's too much of a problem with you, it's easy to fix just by coming in with Pallid Witch Flesh again, which I'm going to do, as I did go a little overboard with the wash. But again, with these models, there's not a real world example that you can put it to, so if you like the look of this, then you could just leave it like that. But again, I want to come in right away with the Pallid Witch Flesh, and again, just hit parts of the model. It's going to gray things out, and when the witch flesh dries, it's going to show a little bit more of that purple through as well. Now, if you find that at the end of all this that the guy looks a little too chalky, then you can just come in with like a Seraphim Sepia or something like that, and just give it a good a wash over the entirety of all the colors. It'll warm everything up a little bit, kind of pull everything together and get rid of that chalky look. So as you can see, just working over the parts where I felt like the purple was a little too strong for my taste. So just little dry brushes here and there, not worrying too much about it, because again, this is for a board game, or if you're painting this for miniatures, it's all in the realm of science fiction or fantasy. But that's it, guys. That's my examples of mutated miniatures. I want to thank you for watching the video. I also want to thank MiniWarGaming for doing this collaboration with me and allowing me to show you guys some of my techniques. If you want to see more painting videos by me, please jump over to my YouTube channel, which is Wolfheart Hobbying. Leave some comments there. I do battle reports for Malifaux. I've done one for Zombicide. Also, if you want, leave me a message on my Facebook page, which again is facebook.com/Wolfheart Hobbying. Again, guys, I want to thank you for watching the video and have yourselves a great day.